People assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect, but actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
Welcome to another video. Today we're going to be playing some Magic Arena. Magic Arena is about to have its set rotation. I'll show you right now what that's all about. Magic Standard Rotation is where the oldest 4 sets rotate out and new sets come in. So basically it means that the standard format is always fresh. It's at most 8 sets. Now that you understand how set rotation works, basically I've tried to make a deck that's pretty much rotation proof. We're playing cards essentially that don't rotate, except for a couple lands that we'll have replacements for when the next set comes out. So, solid hand here, kind of giving you an idea of what we're about. We're kind of a fast tempo deck. We're trying to play Delver of Secrets, and this is a small creature that can flip into a 3/2 with flying, and basically once we have this small threat on the board, we're going to protect it, stop our opponent from doing anything. There we go. Lucky flip with the Delver. Keep our Delver alive and just hit our opponent for 3 each turn until they're dead. We got some removal spells. We got a Dragon Egg, which is our backup Delver here. And we'll see what our opponent can do. Opponent. Playing a creature with lifelink. Not a huge fan of that. I think what we're going to do is attack with our Delver. Now, it's a bit risky here, but I think we want to play our Egg. Egg will transform into a dragon once we've cast 7 mana worth of spells, so we want our Egg on the field before we start casting our spells. Opponent is life gain. Not sure if this is... Well, they're going to gain a lot of life. It's going to make our plan a lot harder, but we do have some removal and we have counter spells. Alright. Let's get in with the Delver here. We're going to hold up Make Disappear and our other spells, so we can mess with our opponent. We can remove their lifelinker here. See what he does. Opponent just gaining life and drawing a card. We're going to let that go. Alright. We'll let him gain 2 more life here. We definitely don't want to take any chances, leaving ourselves undefended. Opponent's going to pass to us. Alright, well, I think what we're going to do is cast Secrets of the Key. This will give us a counter on our dragon and give us an artifact, which we can use to pay for our Disruption Protocol. Alright, so we still only have 3 mana, so we do want to keep 2 up at least. Let's keep hitting with the Delver. We're playing, you gotta play careful. We could get our Ledger Shredder online, but I think that's a bit too risky. Opponent's going to level 2 here. Level 2 is whenever he gains life, he puts a counter on a creature he controls. Alright, now I think is the time to strike. Let's deal damage. Get rid of his lifelinker. Ooh, this is good. This is a 3 mana spell that will cast another spell from the top of our deck, so 5, 6, 7 potentially mana worth of spells. Let's pass to the opponent here. We got counter spells up. Basically negates. We definitely will be able to transform our Egg, so we want to keep our Egg alive. We're going to let this go. I'm not worried about my opponent gaining life putting a counter on this. Once we have our Egg online, we're going to be feeling pretty good. Opponent's passing. Let's discover the impossible. 6 mana worth of spells. We got to cast another spell. Looks like we actually whiffed here, which is a little awkward, but we should be able to flip pretty easily on our turn. if we take another Discover the Impossible. It's actually an interesting choice. I think we want to take a land. We're going to have to wait on the dragon. I just add the land to hand here. Alright. Let's get attacking. I think now is safe to play our Ledger Shredder. Don't think we need to have 2 counters up. The Ledger Shredder can be another threat. When a player casts second spell each turn, he's going to connive, which means you draw a card, discard a card, and he can also put counters on himself. And this bad boy's getting pretty big. Whenever you gain life, put a counter on the unicorn. Now that could be a problem. We definitely don't want that. We definitely don't want him to have that. It's going to just keep getting bigger. Although, you know what? Let's let him have it. We got to save our counters for something that's going to kill us. And so far, our opponent hasn't actually dealt damage to us. That could have been a mistake, but we'll see. Opponent going to pass. Let's draw a card. Alright. Really struggling to flip our egg. We probably should have cast that spell there. That may have been a mistake. Maybe I'm playing too careful. Or not careful enough. Let's hit him with the Aberration. Hold up 2 counters this time. Now, we learned our lesson from last time. We don't want him to have this. We don't have our artifact anymore. So I think what we're going to do is cast Make Disappear. Let him pay the 2. Flip our egg. See if our opponent pays. These taxing counterspells have some interesting interplay. Opponent's just letting it go. That's good for us. That means he probably has another spell he wants to resolve, and we can counter that as well. Ooh, we're going to try and make them fight. So, letting our Ledger Shredder draw a card, discard a card. Let's let that resolve first. Probably going to discard this Delver. I think he's seen the best of his days here. And let's counter. Get to deal 2 damage here. And we cast our second spell, so we get to flip as well. Drop the egg. Opponent's going to attack with his unicorn probably, but we got a lot of flying damage coming back at him. Not even going to bother to attack. Opponent can only deal 8 to us. Let's just hit in. We got 2 counter spells. We're going for lethal here. If we counter 3 spells on our opponent's turn, opponent's going to die. Although these technically cost 3. That's getting countered. Dealing the damage to opponent's face, and opponent is dead. Very impressive showing from this deck against life gain. Countering their best spells, flipping the egg into the amazing Ashmouth Dragon. Not bad at all. Now, and gotta keep in mind, opponent's playing deck with cards that all rotate. Our cards don't rotate. We got them. Alright, let's go on to the next game. If you like this sort of video, let me know down in the comments, and please consider subscribing. I'll have the full deck list at the end of the video. This is a pretty solid hand. We're on the play. Let's keep this. Start with a tapped Stormcarved Coast. We're going to play our egg out. Egg will protect us. And we got the Discover the Impossible, which is 5 mana value potentially worth of spells to pump up our egg. Opponent is playing a Riveteer Requisitioner, which when it dies makes a treasure token. Very interesting opponent. Now, I think what we want to do here, we could just strangle. Yeah, I could just strangle this. Play Secrets of the Key. Although discovering the impossible is probably more fun. So let's just pass a turn here. Not really willing to risk the egg. So we'll just take 3. Opponent playing another one. Alright, let's discover. See if we hit a counterspell. We do not hit a counterspell, but we do hit a strangle. So let's cast Strangle. Oh, we gotta be able to play the spell. Interesting. I didn't know that's how that worked. Learn new things. You may cast the exile spell without playing its mana cost if it's an instant. I see. Well, we may want to take these Strangles out. Learning new things about the deck. But I think what we're going to do here... 1, 2, 3... Yeah, let's kill these bad boys. We're going to give our opponent treasures. But our egg is almost in flip range. Pass to the opponent here. Opponent casting a hasty bugbear. Not worried about that. We got another strangle. Gonna take the damage. Our egg is our pathway to victory. And he is about to hatch. Alright, now we even got counterspell backup to protect our egg. That is perfect. Let's pop this guy, flip the egg. And now we're in Win City. Hit our opponent. And every time we cast a spell now, our dragon's going to deal 2 damage to anything. Another bugbear. Not too worried about that. We're really holding our counterspell for something that's going to kill us. Kill our dragon. Alright, well, let's Secrets of the Key here. Deal 2 damage. Investigate. Let's draw a card. Draw another land here. We do want to keep up the mana for our Disruption Protocol. But I believe we're winning the race. So we're going to keep attacking. Down to 10 damage. Opponent. Casting a Plasma Jockey. When it attacks, target creature an opponent controls can't block this turn. And opponent blitzed it for 3 mana. I think we're going to have to counter this. Let's... Yeah, I think we're going to counter this. We're going to tap an untapped artifact, which means we can tap our Clue and deal damage to the opponent. We don't want our opponent drawing cards. Opponent going to hit us down to 8, but opponent's at 8. Also, let's draw a card here. Draw another egg. We can use that to block with. Let's just hit our Clue. Draw a Make Disappear. That's pretty good, because it's going to deal 2 damage, and we got an egg to block with. So we're going to chump with our egg, or block with our egg at least, and deal 2 damage to the opponent. And if we draw any spell, opponent going to create goblins? Nah, we countering that. Don't want our opponent getting any cards here. And opponent is done. Showing off the power of the egg. Just dealing 2 damage, killing the opponent's stuff. Alright, let's make a small change to the deck. Change these Strangles out for instants because you gotta learn to read your cards, just like Yu-Gi-Oh! Alright, let's make that change. Go on to the next game. Alright, on to the next game. We got pretty solid hand here. We got threats, we got red mana, we got spells. Let's keep. Now, some of the cards from the next set have been spoiled. Opponent's playing Burn. One of the cards that's been spoiled is Lightning Strike. Great card. 2 mana instant. Deals 3 damage to any target. Perfect spell for this deck. Can be used as removal or to just deal additional damage to the opponent. Opponent's got their own plan. They're going first and they're aggroing us out. Well, let's flip our Delver. And I think we're going to play red mana here. Play a second Delver. And hold up Play with Fire. We could instead play Ledger Shredder, but he's not going to be doing much. And it'd be better to play him and flip him the same turn. So let's play Delver and hold up Play with Fire. And just get in for damage. Opponent's going to transform their Saga. We can pop it with Play with Fire though. See what the opponent's going to do here. Opponent's going to Kami's Flare. Not much we can do about that. Gonna kill our Delver. Let's pop the Etching. Take 3. Reveal, transform the Delver. Getting real lucky with these Delver flips. Let's play Ledger Shredder and immediately bump him up to 4 toughness. Draw an egg. Interesting choice here. We could hold the egg in the secrets, or we could discover the impossible on our opponent's turn. The egg is a pretty good blocker. I think we're going to dump the secrets and keep the egg in the discover. Now opponent's going to attack here. They're probably going to hope we block and then try and kill our Ledger Shredder. So we're going to not block here. Next turn we'll have 2 blockers. Opponent going to kill our Aberration. Deal another 2 damage to our face. That's a little hard. Hard to take. I think we're just going to play the egg. And no attacks pass to the opponent. Egg will block. Opponent gonna go straight face now. Alright. Well, we're in the danger zone. We do have a counter spell. But I don't think we can risk... I don't know if we can risk attacking here. I don't think we can. Well... yeah, we're going to try it. Might as well try it. We're going to discover the impossible. If we hit an Abrade, we could pop this. We got to play to win. Opponent going straight to combat. We're blocking with the egg for certain. Not going to take any damage from that. See what the opponent does. No actions yet. Opponent going to cast their own Abrade. Make Disappear will not counter it. So let's just discover the impossible here. Although it does put us technically at risk of death to another Royal Eruption. I think we got to just play. We got to play to win. Don't hit an instant. That is very unfortunate. Without another instant here, I don't know if we're going to be able to survive. We did hit another Ledger Shredder, however. Oh, and yep, opponent had it. So we're dead. Good game, opponent. Going second against Burn, always a tough play. With all those face burn spells, didn't stand much of a chance. Alright, well, let's go on to the next game. Alright, on to the next game. We got our secret tech here. Got the ability to take an extra turn after this one. But this hand has no blue mana and no threats, so we're going to mulligan. Now we got a threat, we got spells, we got all our mana, so we're gonna keep this. Probably gonna bottom a Secrets of the Key and lead with tapped Stormcarve Coast. Gonna play out our egg before we start casting spells. And opponent looks like they're playing something similar to us. Let's put our egg out there. Hope our opponent doesn't flip the Delver. Lucky. No flip for the Delver. Opponent gonna pass with no actions. That's good with us. We got all the spells we need here. We can take out the Delver if it starts to flip or if our opponent casts a spell. Opponent gonna consider. I think we'll let that happen. Not gonna cast our spells unless our opponent taps completely out. Still not flipping the Delver. Ooh, green. Interesting. Don't usually see green in Delver decks. Opponent playing a Stormchase Drake. Now, I think we should just counter this. Our opponent doesn't have any more blue mana. Which means we can abrade the Delver on our turn. Although they could have the Tamiyo protection spell. That is a possibility. Better to keep his threats out of the way. Alright, gets countered. Back to our turn. We draw Play with Fire, so we can just go for this Delver right now. We got 2 removal spells. I say we go for it. Let's lead with the Abrade. Nah, let's go with Play with Fire. Yeah, Play with Fire first. If our opponent counters to protect, we have another Abrade. Or some other form of protection. And we don't mind casting 2 spells because it's gonna mean our dragon's getting closer to flipping. Alright, that goes through. Gonna pass back to the opponent. See if they're gonna take any more actions. We might have gotten them to stall out of the game. Has opponent lost the will to live? Alright, opponent has lost the will to live. Very nice. Let's do one more game here. Alright. We got a pretty keepable hand here. We got Dragon Egg. We got Play with Fire. If our opponent's playing some sort of aggro deck. Opponent playing a land. Ooh, Ledger Shredder as well. Alright, let's play the egg first. So that next turn we can Ledger Shredder and hold up Play with Fire. Opponent doing nothing. Ledger Shredder, get out here. Let's shock the opponent to activate Ledger Shredder. Draw another land. I think we're going to discard the land here. Even though it doesn't grow our Ledger Shredder. And we see a Play with Fire on top. Let's keep it just so we have some removal. Opponent doing nothing. Alright. Well, let's get in with the Ledger Shredder. Hold the counterspell and the Play with Fire. And if our opponent does nothing, we can discover. Opponent gonna ramp. Well, I always say it's a good thing to counter the ramp, but if we miss, I think it's okay. So let's just take the risk, discover the impossible. We hit a counterspell, which we can cast. So let's do that. Cast the counterspell, counter the Vastwood Surge, pay 1, get 5 mana worth of spells and 2 spells, activate Ledger Shredder, put a bunch of counters. Our opponent doesn't seem to be playing anything worth shooting with a little shock, so let's get rid of that. Hold up the counter spells. Hit our opponent. One more counter will flip our egg. Then we'll start bashing our opponent for a lot of damage. Opponent up to 5 mana. Playing a Spirit. Let's counter. Flip our dragon. Alright. Looking pretty good here. Let's start bashing the opponent for massive damage. Play our Delver. We still got another counter. And now, with our dragon flipped, our counter deals 2 damage. Opponent playing a Bergstrider. That's getting countered. Deal 2 damage to the opponent's face. And we got lethal. Nice. Alright, showing off the power of this deck. Against a more slow ramp heavy strategy, definitely able to punish a deck that's trying to be slow by getting under them fast and then just countering their big threats before they can get out their major plays. Alright, let's show you the deck list and have a little discussion. Alright, so here's the deck list. We got 4 Delver as secrets, that's one of our key threats. Actually, I'll sort the deck first. Alright, so this deck has basically 4 parts. It has the threats. We got 4 copies of Delver as secrets. If we reel an instant or sorcery, top of our deck, at the beginning of our turn, we flip it into a 3/2 flyer, which just gets in for 3 damage each turn. That's a lot of damage. Delver was a legacy staple in one of the oldest formats of Magic. Um, Other threat we have is Ledger Shredder. Whenever a player casts 2 spells, it connives, which means you draw a card, discard a card. If you discard a non-land card, it gets a counter. So this can be a kind of threat that also filters your hand and can get pretty big. Final threat we have is Smoldering Egg. You play it, it's a 0/4, blocks your opponent's small creatures, and once you've cast enough mana value of spells, it turns into the Ashmouth Dragon, which whenever you cast a spell deals 2 damage to anything and hits the opponent for 4. So this is kind of a threat that you build up. You have to protect it because you can lose your investment before it flips, and then you'll be feeling pretty sad. Alright, so how do you make this deck work? The rest of the deck, or the second part of the deck here, is the spells. Now we have a lot of spells, we have a very high spell count, and basically a lot of it is either filtering or protection. So Secrets are the key, not a card anyone else plays. I really haven't seen people playing it. All it does is make a clue, which you can sack to draw a card. The reason we're playing it is because of its high mana value. The flashback cost on it that makes 2 clues is 4 mana, which means you can very easily flip your Smoldering Egg. Is this a card that you should probably take out or definitely consider other cards? Yes, this is definitely something that I would consider replacing with something different, although for now it's definitely doing okay. The clues are helpful for Disruption Protocol, which is a hard counter. For 3 mana you can counter any spell. If you have an artifact that's untapped, you can tap the artifact, pay 2 blue to counter anything. That's pretty good value, especially with Secrets of the Key. Slip out the back, just phases out your creature, protects it, also puts a counter on it. That's pretty good. Against burn decks, you can make your creature tougher, so it can be less likely to die to burn. We got Play with Fire at 4, just deals 2 damage. If you deal it to face, you can potentially burn out your opponent. Also, lets you scry 1. Make Disappear, a soft counter spell, but it's easy to cast for a blue and a 1. You can sacrifice a creature if you have a creature that's not doing any work to copy it and then counter spell for 4 basically, unless your opponent plays 4 mana. Also got free copies of a Braid. Braid just a pretty versatile removal spell. Probably something that you might be worth considering at 4. Maybe take out one of these other cards, put another copy of a Braid in. For our extra spice, we got Discover. Basically a 3 mana spell that casts an instant that's value 2 or less that it reveals potentially. If you don't cast the card you reveal, you put it in your hand. So you saw in the gameplay, just a cheap way to get high mana value. You pay this, you can get 5 mana value worth of spells. That's almost all the way to flipping your egg. And it casts 2 spells for Ledger Shredder. And as our extra sweet spice, we got the Alchemist Gambit. Now, I filmed a few games with this deck. I played one game that I didn't record, and in that game I used Alchemist Gambit to win exactly. So, sad I didn't get to record it today. If I play the deck again, hopefully get that off, but occasionally it happens, and when it does, it's so sweet. You pay 3 mana, get an extra turn, and wipe out your opponent before you lose the game. Alright, hope you enjoyed the deck list and the gameplay. Let me know down in the comments what you think of the video, and I'll see you next time. Have a good night.